Hello, welcome to this session. Today we'll see renewable energy system, solar energy, wind energy, geothermal energy, hydropower energy, biomass, and last one is a tide. So we'll discuss in details regarding to this renewable energy sources. So I'm Roshan Bakar. We'll continue with this session on renewable energy. To know the various renewable sources of energy, solar, wind, biomass, to learn the solar radiation and sun-earth angle and period of daylight, to learn the solar radiation measuring instruments. So these are the objectives of this particular session. Now in this session we will discuss renewable, non-renewable sources, solar radiation, solar constant, basic sun-earth angle, solar time, direction of beam radiation, computation of radiation, then solar radiation measuring instruments, alteration of radiation by atmosphere. So this topic we will discuss in particular session. So renewable energy sources, so there are different sources which are available. One, it is wind energy, we have solar energy, other may be a geothermal energy. So n number of applications, n number of sources are there. So we can use the solar energy. Solar panels can be mounted on the rooftop, that can be used for generation of electricity. Other windmills that can also be used for generation of electricity. Other sources may be a tidal power plant also. We can have geothermal power plant also. Biomass is also one of the you can say energy source from which the electricity can be generated. So there are different resources which are available. First one, wind energy, solar energy, hydroelectricity. Then we have geothermal energy, biomass energy, and tidal energy. So many of these applications are directly depends on the solar energy, because if you consider the example of wind energy, so the flow of wind onto the surface of earth, it is because of differential heating of earth's surface. So that is wind energy is one of the parameters. Second one, hydroelectricity. Water evaporates from the ocean, and that results in the rain, and we see because of that is one of the source for water. Next thing is biomass. Sunlight is always required for biomass. Tidal energy, the gravitational effect of moon and sun is responsible for tidal waves. So there also we say there is a role of solar energy over there, or sun over there. Geothermal energy, it is a heat deep into the earth, that is used for, we can say it can be used for generation of electricity, same as with the conventional power plant. So a non-renewable energy, a coal, it can be considered to be a non-renewable energy, because once we utilize the coal, so we say they are limited, the supply of the coal is limited. Next thing is nuclear energy. So even though we have abundant supply of uranium and other radioactive elements, still once this radioactive elements are used, we say the energy will be gone. So nuclear energy cannot be considered to be the renewable type of energy. Fossil fuels, coal, petroleum, and natural gas are considered to be non-renewable. So these are also called as the fossil fuels. How coal is made? Now you can observe three images. First one, before the dinosaurs, many giant plants and died in swamp. So over the millions of years, this plant were buried under the water and dirt. So because of heat and pressure, that turns this dead plant into a coal. How oil and gas are made? So we'll see here how oil and gas are made. So it required some millions of years. So tiny sea plants and animals died and were buried onto the ocean surface floor. Over the time, they were covered by layers of silt and sand. Over the millions of years, they remained were buried deeper and deeper, and enormous heat and pressure turned them into oil and gas. So this is how we say. Now today's we drill down to the layers of sand, slate, rock to reach to rock formation that contains oil and gas deposits. So how this oil and gas are made? So this can be best understood from the three images which are shown over here. Next thing is the relation between sun, earth. Now here we have mentioned the diameter of earth, diameter of sun, and distance between the earth and sun. So the distance between the earth and sun varies with respect to the season. So it can either it is increasing to some extent, it is decreasing to some extent. So that predominantly determine the season onto the surface of earth. Next thing, sun is a source of energy for earth. So solar radiations are reaching to the earth's surface. So up to the time the solar radiations are emitted from the sun, we will have harness to the solar energy. Next thing, solar radiation has peak intensities in the shorter wavelength and dominant in the region we know as a visible. So there is a visible wavelength which is called as, which is ranges from zero point 0.4 to zero point 0.7 micrometer. So below that we say it is short wavelength, and above that we say it is a long wave radiations. So 0.4 to zero point 0.7 micrometer is only which is visible to us. So that's why it is called as the visible wavelength. Next one, unequal heating of tropics and pole. So there is a differential heating of Earth's surface because of alternate day and night conditions. So we say a global balance is maintained by excess heat from the equatorial region, transferring it towards the pole. So this is actually the direction of heat transfer which is taking place onto the surface of Earth. Solar radiations versus time of the day. Now say solar radiation, when it is maximum, the solar radiation is maximum in the noon, it is minimum at the morning, it is minimum at the evening. So radiations will be maximum in the noon. So more the time which at which the solar radiation can be utilized, it is the best time is to utilize it is in the noon, because the solar radiations are normal to the surface. Next thing, solar radiation falling on the Earth's surface. So these radiations falling on Earth's surface can be divided into different parts. We can have albedo radiations, we can have direct radiation, beam radiation, or it can also be called as a diffuse radiation. So albedo radiations are the radiation which are reflected from the atmosphere, reflected from the surface of Earth. So that will be called as the albedo radiation. If the radiations are reflected, we say if the radiation are reflected from the atmosphere itself, or if the radiations are absorbed within the atmosphere itself, so that is again the type of radiation. So some of the radiations are affected by the clouds which are present in the atmosphere, so that will be called as diffuse radiation. So beam radiations are those radiations which are directly reaching to the surface of Earth, so that will be called as a beam radiation. Next one, solar radiation falling on Earth's surface. So this can be best understood by one of the image which is shown over there. So if there are clouds present, in that cases we used to say the radiation which are reaching is the diffuse radiation. So meridian and prime meridian. Now what is a meridian and prime meridian? So meridian is, we say there are n number of meridian lines, but the prime meridian is only one. So the again it can be classified, it can be well explained as the line which divides the earth into two parts, when it is eastern part and western part, so that will be called as the prime meridian. So this is actually taken as a reference location from which the times are determined. So next thing is the equator. Equator is the equatorial plane is the plane which divides the earth into two parts. One it is called as northern hemisphere, and second one it is called as the southern hemisphere. So this is how we can define the equator. So there can be n number of meridians, but the prime meridian is only one. Equatorial plane is the plane which divides the earth into two parts, which is called as northern hemisphere, and second one it is the southern hemisphere. Meridian and prime meridian. Again, this is kind of similar concept we explained earlier. So North Pole and South Pole. So whatever the lines which are coming from North Pole and going towards the South Pole, so these lines we called as meridian lines, but the prime meridian is only one. So latitude and longitude. So we can have the cities which are on the same circle of latitude. We can have the cities which are on the same circle of we can say longitude. So this is actually called as the latitude lines as well as called as the longitude lines. Solar constant, the rate at which solar radiation strikes the Earth's atmosphere, expressed as a solar constant, the average amount of solar radiation or solar energy received in the unit of time on unit of area perpendicular to sun's direction at a mean distance of Earth from the sun. So that is called as the solar constant. Irradiance, the rate at which the solar radiation is incident on a unit horizontal surface at any point on or above the Earth's surface. So that is called as the irradiance. Radiosity, the rate at which the radiant energy leaves a surface per unit area by a combined emission of reflection and transmission. So that will be called as radiosity. Emissive power, the rate at which the radiant energy leaves a surface per unit area by emission only, so that will be called as the emissive power. So these are some important terms as far as the solar you can say radiation are concerned. Poles of earth, the ends of axis of rotation of the earth are called as the poles of earth. One pole it is called as north, second it is called as the south. So north and south pole which we are aware of. So these are actually the poles of earth. The prime meridian is the imaginary great circle passing through the reference location, and the two poles intersect equator at a right angle. So this is called as the prime meridian. So prime meridian is only one. We can have n number of meridians. Earth's equator. So the equatorial line, it is an imaginary great circle normal to the Earth's axis, dividing the distance between the Earth pole along its surface into two equal parts. The equator divides the Earth into two hemispheres called northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Meridian. Now what is meridian? It is necessary to select some reference location onto the Earth's surface for helping in locating the particular position onto the surface of Earth. So meridian is used to determine the location onto the surface of Earth. Now we'll see the basic Sun-Earth angle. Now here it is a plane it is mentioned, so that will be called as a horizontal plane. So this is first angle we'll see inclination angle, or also called as altitude angle. So it is angle between direction of sun's radiation and projection of that radiation on horizontal plane. So whatever angle it is formed, that will be called as the altitude angle or inclination angle. Now next one is a zenith angle. So we consider an angle between direction of sun's radiation on a horizontal plane and normal to that plane. So angle between this is will be called as the zenith angle. Now next one is the solar azimuth angle. Solar azimuth angle is also called as the surface angle because it is considered with respect to the horizontal plane. So it is again the projection of sun's radiation on the horizontal plane and the line due to north and south. So that angle between them will be called as the azimuth angle. So this is how we can understand the different angles which is related to the we can say a sun earth angle. So altitude we have azimuth, we have we can say this different angle can be easily understood with the help of this particular image. Now we'll see what is latitude. Latitude and declination angle. So latitude of any location is we say the point P, it is considered to be point onto the surface of earth. O will be called as the center of earth. So it can be defined as the line joining the location of point with respect to center of earth and projection of that particular line on a equatorial plane. So angle between them will be called as the latitude angle, and that can be shown by phi. So there can be different notations, different books uses different notations. Here it is shown phi. So latitude angle is the line joining the center of earth and position of that particular point and projection of this particular on the equatorial plane. So that angle between them, it will be called as the latitude angle. So that is given by phi. Now next thing is the declination angle. It is the angle between we say the sun's we say distance between a line which is joining center of earth and center of sun, and we say the projection of that on the equatorial plane. So whatever the angle is formed in between, so that angle will be called as the declination angle. Okay, again it is expressed with some different notations. Again it is the same. So point P is any point onto the surface of earth, so joining this point with respect to the center of earth and projection on the equatorial plane, so that gives you the latitude angle. Okay, again the same concept, the angle of latitude is explained more. You can see the latitude of location on earth's surface is the angle made by radial line joining the specified location to the center of earth and its projection on equatorial plane. So that is called as the angle of latitude. Now next thing is the declination angle, angle between the line joining center of earth and center of sun and the projection of that particular line on equatorial plane. So angle between them will be called as a declination angle. So how this angle varies, or how this daylight varies. So we'll see here the 21st of June, 21st of March and 21st of September, 21st of December. So the number of daylight hours are changing. It is not same throughout the year. So at summer season you might see the more number of daylight hours, less number of night hours. Same way in winter season you might have more number of night hours than the less numbers of daylight hours. So even in the morning 6 in the summer season you might observe light. Same way at evening 7:30 you also some kind of light is available. So in that case we say the more number of daylight hours. In some other situation like in winter season at morning 6 or 6:30 also you might observe darkness. Same way in the evening 6 also you might observe darkness. So this is how we say the number of daylight hours are varying onto the surface of earth. Again it is depends on how earth is with respect to the sun. So depending on position of earth with respect to sun, this number of daylight hours are changing. So again this is some surface azimuth angle, tilt angle or slope, or the angle of incidence. So just like what we had discussed in the earlier some of slide, the similar kind of angles are there. So we say the surface azimuth angle, it is given by gamma. So it is a with respect to the horizontal surface it is considered. Tilt angle or slope, it is considered at what inclination angle the object it is with respect to the horizontal plane. Angle of incidence, again at what angle of we say the solar radiations are striking onto the surface. So angle between normal to the surface and the sun's radiation, that will be called as the angle of incidence. So variation in sun's declination angle. So declination angle varies throughout the year. It is not same throughout the year. So depending on at what month you are, so based upon this, these things will change. So this is how the declination angle. The declination angle can be positive, declination angle can be negative, or it can be, we say, a zero also. So this depends on the season, and it is again depends on how the sun is with respect to the earth. So this is regarding to the declination angle. So it can be a positive, a declination angle it can be a negative, or the declination angle can be a zero. So here the we say a declination angle, how this declination angle can be calculated. One formula is there. It is 23.45 sine of 360 divided by 360 by 284 plus n, where n are the number of days in that particular or on that particular we say month or like that. Say for example if you are considering 21st of Jan, so n will be 21st of 21. If you are considering something like to February, so you have to calculate number of days in Jan and number of days up to February. So this is how n can be calculated. So delta it is called as declination angle. 360 divided by 365 284 plus n, where n are the number of days. So this can be for example if it is told to calculate 21st of June, so up to 21st of June you have to go on calculating the number of days in each month, and based upon that you can put the value of n. Now this thing will vary if it is a leap year and a non-leap year. If it is a say leap year, or if you are having some 29 February, so in that cases one day will be more. So this is the thing which we have to remember. Next thing, hour angle. So hour angle again we say we can have positive value as well as we can have a negative value. Just like a declination angle, you can observe it is minus 90, here it is a plus 90. So these hour angles are actually useful for solving some kind of problems which are related to the number of daylight hours. So there are some few numericals we can solve with the help of this particular hour angle. So there the hour angle is quite important as far as the numericals are concerned. So solar radiation and earth. So as I told, the solar radiations which are falling onto the surface of earth, so we can have the different number of daylight hours. So daylight hours are changing onto the surface of earth. Again it depends on we say how the position of sun with respect to earth. As we are know aware of, the earth is not earth is actually inclined with respect to its central axis, okay, by an angle 23 and half. So that's why this actually tilt actually determines the season onto the surface of the earth. And again how at what distance the earth is with respect to the sun, so that determines the season onto the surface of earth. So this is one we can say image which shows some different things like equinox March 21st and 22nd, June 21st and 22nd, then September 22 and 23, December 21 and 22. So this is how the position of earth and sun with throughout the year, so it is changing. So the period of daylight will also change. See for this example, if the sun rays are there. So in this case, if we are considering the case of the month of March and September, so we have almost equal amount of daylight hours and equal amount of night hours. So this happens in this case. Now second case, the period of daylight. Now if you are in the month of 21st of June, in that case is what you may observe is you may observe some variation in terms of number of daylight hours. At some places you might have 0 daylight hours. At some places you might have more than 12 hours of sunlight. So these things are varying if you are in the month of June. So depending on at what locations you are, so the number of daylight hours will change with respect to your location. Same way, if you are in the month of 21st of December, so other part of the earth will be subjected to the similarly exactly opposite condition what we have seen in the earlier diagram. So here also the number of daylight hours will change with respect to the location onto the surface of earth. So beam depletion, solar radiation, it can be directly normal to the surface, or solar radiation we say can be inclined. So that depends on whether we are in the morning or whether we are in the evening. Now what emits the radiation? Almost all the bodies in the universe emits radiation, whether you consider a hot body, whether you consider a cold body. If you consider a simple example of ice cream, it also emits the radiation. So almost all the bodies in the universe emits radiation irrespective of its temperature and all these things. So even a human body also emits a radiation. Now how to measure the radiation? Now this is actually required because if you want to install solar photovoltaic system, or if you want to install a solar energy power generator, in that cases you always require how much of radiation which is falling in that particular region. So for calculating how much of radiation which is falling in any region, the one instrument is used which is called as the pyranometer. It is used for measurement of solar radiation. So this device can be used for measurement of direct as well as diffuse radiation also. So direct radiation is the radiation which is reaching to the surface of earth without affected by any atmospheric condition, or without affected by any shadow, or we can say maybe because of buildings shadows are observed, or maybe because of trees the shadows are observed. So the radiation which is not affected by any atmospheric condition, that will be called as the beam radiation. So this is one instrument which is called as sunshine recorder, which is used for recording the sunshine available throughout the day. So this can be best understood in some other slides. Okay, so we'll have one simple example of the sunshine recorder. So some cards are used, so depending on how much of intensity of burn it is observed, so that will determine we say the radiations are more or less. So the sunshine recorder can be easily understood with the one of the thing which you might have seen with the help of magnifying glass we used to burn the paper. The similar kind of things are actually done here also. The intensity of burn will determine how much of radiations are available at a given period of a time. So the burning will decide the intensity of radiations are more or less. So pyranometer, the purpose is to measure the solar radiation. So the black surface absorb heat, white surface reflect the heat. The temperature between the difference between the black and white is dictated by thermopile, and this thermopile calibrate in terms of actually some small voltage is developed. So this voltage scale is calibrated in terms of the radiation, and that is used for calculating the radiation which is falling in the given surface, and it is expressed in terms of watt per meter square.